Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, our version 65 features demo. We're really happy that you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started, but first, a little bit of housekeeping. All of your phones and your microphones are muted. So as we mentioned previously, feel free to enter your questions in the chat window. And if you can't stay for the entire webinar, a copy of this webinar will be posted to our YouTube channel. To find all of our recently recorded webinars, you can visit clubexpress.com, navigate to the Cool Stuff page, and click on the webinars option in the menu that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. Click the drop-down arrow, and you will find all of our recently recorded webinars, which are also located on our YouTube channel. You can also see an upcoming webinar schedule. In addition to all of our webinars, all of our video tutorials are also listed in a similar space on our website. So when you're on that Cool Stuff page looking at our webinars, be sure to visit those video tutorials as well. And while you're watching one of our amazing tutorials or webinars, be sure to hit the subscribe button within our YouTube channel. It's not just so we can get more YouTube followers, it is so that you get notified every time we post a new webinar or tutorial. And with that being said, Dan, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right, great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dan Ehrman, one of the co-founders and CEO of ClubExpress. I always love doing these version webinars because, we have such cool stuff that the dev team has been working on over the last few months to add features. A lot of the features in this release are things that customers have asked us to do. To add, and a lot of those features are also part of this long-term project we have to update and modernize the user interface in ClubExpress, make it more current, make it easier to use. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's continue here. There we go. Okay. So everyone should be seeing the version 65 update. We announced this on Monday, and all of the features have now been deployed. The last parts of version 65 were deployed this morning, which was the event calendar. And the help system and manuals have been updated as well. So this feature, this release includes enhancements to the event calendar, the e-commerce storefront, a number of the modules in the system, and we'll go through all those, and there's a number of other enhancements as well. So let's dive right in. So in the event calendar, first of all, there is a brand new interface to manage events. And let's just jump right in and have a look at that. So I'm looking at an event in our calendar. We're using our Northwest Balloon Club here. And I'm looking at an event in the calendar. It happens to be a February event. And I'm going to click on Show Admin Options, and here we see the new interface. So just to compare it, here's a screenshot of what the old interface looked like. There were those, green and gray and sometimes yellow arrows across the top for whatever panels you enabled. The panels were below, lots of empty space in the middle. You could expand a panel, you could edit the panel. And then there were all these tiny buttons here that did all the important things, like looking at the list of registrants and running reports and exports and things like that. Well, all of that's changed, so let's get rid of that. And here is the new interface, and it follows the model that we've been deploying throughout the system. First of all, there's a list of buttons across the top, back to the event. And you can see all of the buttons here, and they're organized in a very logical way. There might actually be one more button, and that's if you have the waitlist enabled, that button would appear right here. Here is the basic details about the event. And on the left-hand side are the panels that you've enabled. And as you select each panel, you'll see the details of that panel on the right-hand side. When it comes time to edit a panel, you click that the pencil icon right here, and it takes you into the details of that panel. And for example, as always, on the basic info screen, here is where we enable new panels. So if I, for example, check on the questions option and click save, now when I look over here, we have the questions panel available. When you see a green dot, it means you've flagged that panel as complete. When we see a yellow dot, it means that panel is not complete. All of these screens, with one exception, are basically the same as they were before. So for example, when I go into formatted description and I edit that, here is the same screen that we had before and all of those details. Actually, there is one addition on this screen, and that's the share image, which I'll talk about in a moment. The one difference is when you have a multi-activity event. And so when I click on activities and items, we see a list of the activities that have been defined, but you'll notice there's no edit links here. There's no little icons that allow us to edit all of the properties for that activity. People were telling us that that was hard to learn and use and get familiar with what each icon did. So we changed this interface as well. When I click edit, here's what that looks like now. It's sort of a mini version of the larger version. And I'm sitting here waving my hands, and of course you can't see a thing. So at the top we have the three buttons: adding a new activity, a new item, and changing the display sequence. And then down here we have 4 activities defined for this event. And the buttons that control those activities are laid out as, you know, miniature versions of these buttons or these buttons up here. That make it, you know, very easy to see what needs to be configured and what's available for each activity. Here is the basic title, the date and time, registrations, and the properties of those activities. So the display sequence is, you know, across and then down, across and then down. Depending on the width of your screen, you might actually get 3 panels in. In this case, we're only looking at 2 panels. But the idea is to make it as easy as possible for you to see and understand the different options that are available for an activity or an item. So again, that's the basic user interface, and this is what will appear for a single activity event, for a multiple activity event. And we're going to dive in and look at a few of these other options, because there have been additions to those as well. So the first other enhancement is that contacts can now be defined where they don't need admin rights. So if I go over to event contacts and edit the contacts, here we see a list of the contacts that are available, and I can define someone. For example, if I edit Carl Davidson here, you can see there's a new option where you can allow someone to have admin rights over the event, or you can turn that off. So in this case, if Carl is the person who's managing the exhibit hall for this large convention, Clark doesn't need the ability to administer the whole event. He just needs to have his email address and phone number available so that exhibitors can contact him and ask questions. Okay, and then there's also now a share image that's been defined, and we've actually defined this in multiple places around the system. When you go to the formatted description screen and scroll down, you can now define a share image. So when you push this event out to social media, to your Facebook page or your Twitter feed, when you use it in the upcoming events widget on the homepage, for example, the share image will actually appear as part of that listing. There is a new export, which I won't show you. It's on the standard export screen. Registrants with emergency contact info. So, you know, if you're a chamber of commerce, you probably won't use that one. But if you're a mountain biking club or an extreme sailing club, for example, you probably would use that one. Now we've also done a major enhancement to the wait list. You can now define the wait list with automated notifications. And that's actually done. Let's go back to the event calendar. And we'll click edit, and we'll go to the configure screen to event defaults. So here under event defaults, in the registration section, you'll see that there's a new option here that says process waitlist, and it's either manual or automatic. And then if it's automatic, you can, and actually for manual as well, you can define the number of waitlist hours where a person is available to register for an event. So if you've set this to be automatic and a space opens up, the system will see that and it will send an email to the first person on the wait list, telling them that a spot has opened up for them, and they can click the link, they can go in and register for the event. And in this case, they will have 4 hours to do so. If they don't do so, then their opportunity will be cancelled. They'll be flagged in the wait list as did not respond in time, and the next person on the wait list will be notified. And you can make this, as short as you want, 2 hours, 1 hour, for example. Show holidays. There is a new option to configure how holidays are shown on the calendar, and this basically affects both grid view and list view. For each day, you can show holidays before events, after events, or do not show. So that's a new option there. And there's another new option where you can set a default visibility. So if you typically have all of your events visible to everyone, you can just set that so as you create each new event, you don't have to configure the visibility each time. Another change that we've made is that when you're looking at the event calendar on a smartphone, it should be using future view by default. So if you're an organization with a lot of events every month, in the past we were using month view, and so as it got towards the end of the month, there was a lot of scrolling that you needed to do to get to the upcoming events. Now we'll use future view. And another change that we've made is that the grid sequence of events can now be controlled. So let's go back to the event calendar and we'll have a quick look at March. And you'll notice here, for example, is the 26th. There's a little icon here. And this little icon is visible only to full administrators and module coordinators. And when you click that icon, you can now customize the visibility of the events. So if I move Flying for Kids, you can see that it moved down here. You can customize the order, as I said. And the last thing is that the event widget that we use on the homepage, on custom pages, and in the new template builder now has an alternate view called the card view. So if I go home, and let's edit the homepage very quickly. So we're now editing the homepage, and I'll scroll down here, and here is the upcoming events widget. And we've configured the widget either using list style, and in this case, it's card style. All of the other options on the widget are the same, but basically now we have a series of cards. If we have a share image, it'll be used. And the other thing, let's actually get out of this. So here is the upcoming events widget in list view. And here is the same widget in card view. And of course, people can scroll and see all of the different upcoming events. Now, there's one other major enhancement that we've done in the event calendar, and that is support for virtual events using Zoom, WebEx, etc. And the way this works is that you can define it on the location panel. So let's go back to the event that we were looking at. And I'll go back to February to this Monday meals because it's a nice event to look at. And on the location panel, you can see location type is physical, but there's also a video link listed here. So when I click location, I can now edit the event, and we have two options at the top. You can have an event which is a physical in-person event, but you might also be a hybrid event. So the video options are available, or it can be an event that's virtual only, in which case we only see the video options. So we give you a place to put in a link, and you can test that link. You can specify a meeting ID and a passcode. And this part is important here. Do we want to show the link on the event, on the basic event description, which you would do generally if there's no charge for the event, or do you want to show the link after registration and payment? So remember, someone can register for an event, they'll get to the summary page, they'll go to the payment page, and they'll get a confirmation email that they have registered for the event, but you don't really want to send them the link until they've actually paid for the event. And so once they've paid, they'll get a second confirmation email, and it will include the video link information. Now, the other thing that's important about this is that for a multi-activity event, you might have some activities which are in person and some activities which are virtual. So you specify a default location, default video conferencing, but when we go into each activity and edit that activity, we can also do the same thing here. Is it physical or virtual only? And those are the options right there. Now, this is actually the first part of our support for virtual events. We're actually planning to do a further enhancement in the next few weeks, where we're going to be integrating with the Zoom API. So if you have an event where you really want to track attendance within Zoom, we'll give you the ability to upload all the registrants for the event using the Zoom API into that particular event. So you'll be able to track when they came in, when they left. So again, defined on the location panel, available for single multi-activity events, also available for quick events. I didn't show you, but it's the same screen. And for multi-activity event for individual activities, there's the test button. And where do you show this information? And after registration and payment. But again, that option doesn't appear for quick events because by definition, quick events don't have a fee. Okay, so that's the enhancements for events. There is more coming. In addition to the thing I just mentioned, the developer is continuing to work on events, and there'll be more enhancements coming, including a lot of things that people have been asking for. Okay, so the next set of enhancements is to the e-commerce storefront. We've been promising a major rebuilding of the storefront for a number of years, and unfortunately, it took a while for us to free up a developer for the amount of time necessary. But we've done a major upgrade to the storefront, and actually, there's a few more enhancements that are still in the pipeline there as well. There is a new front end for selecting products and adding them to a shopping cart. So let's go and have a look at that. We're going to go down here to the storefront. And here is the e-commerce storefront with the new user interface. So there is a search panel on the left-hand side that allows you to filter by category and in fact by whatever categories you might have. You can also filter by price, and then you can filter by type. And these are compound filters. So for example, if I select clothing and apply the filter, I get clothing only. If I select the range of 20 to 50, I lose a product. Now I only have the products that range from 20 to 50. The other thing is that when you select a product, all of the information about that product is now available on a single screen. So here's the screen for this product. As before, you can have multiple photos that will be shown. When I select an option or a size, let's say I select large, if this product was available for customization, that information would be right here. I can select the quantities, and then let's say 2 of them, and then I can add that to my shopping cart. And when I do that, I come back to the storefront. Now, there are also sort options that are available, as you see in most modern storefronts. Once I have things in my shopping cart, I see the shopping cart icon here, which is where it's always been, and I see it up here as well, and I see it, just here. We've also updated the checkout process. So when I click shopping cart, I could go straight to checkout, but when I click shopping cart, I see what's in my cart. I can obviously change the quantity. I can do updates. I can remove. When I click checkout, keep in mind I'm logged in as an admin. So this particular option will only appear for people who have admin rights or coordinator rights over the storefront. But let's continue with the checkout. And here is the new checkout screen. Everything is on one screen. So again, those little arrows that we used to have across the top, those are gone. Here we see the shopping cart. And we start out on a screen with the shipping information. So we send to the primary address. Here is the address and how do we want to ship. In this case, we're going to deliver by reindeer. And now I continue to gift message, and you can see there are other panels here. So when I click this option, the shipping information collapses. And now I'm looking at the gift message. In this case, I'll select no. Now I continue to the order summary, and here is the order summary. And everything is on one screen, which is an interface that I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, because it's used by a lot of e-commerce companies. All of the information is right here, and then we click continue to payment, and we go off to the payment screen as we always have. Okay, so there's the updated front end for selecting products and the checkout process. We've also made a number of enhancements behind the scenes. So let's start with colors and sizes. And I'm going to go to the storefront, and let's go to the edit option for the storefront. So colors over the years has gotten kind of ridiculous. We started out with a basic set of 8 or 10 colors, and then customers started calling us and saying, can you add pale green and olive green and burnt umber, because orange wasn't good enough, it had to be burnt umber. And we kept adding them to the colors list, and then it got unwieldy. It was kind of ridiculous. So we've changed that. When you select colors now, every club has their own set of colors. And if you had colors beforehand, when we converted to this new system, we just converted everything over, so you have your set of colors. So here is the set of colors that's being used by Northwest Balloon Club across all of their products. If we add a color, it's a very simple screen. So I can say burnt umber, and it gets added to the list. And if I want to change the sequence, there's one of our standard display sequence buttons. And you can put them in any order you want. So colors now are unique to each organization. You just specify your own. With sizes, things were also more complex, and we found that out pretty quickly as we started to sign up customers outside the US, because men's sizes in the US, small, medium, large, extra large, 2X, that sort of thing. Women's sizes are completely different. Sizing in Australia, New Zealand, the UK is completely different. And even for different kinds of products. I mean, the way you specify size for shoes is different than the way you specify size for shirts and t-shirts and things like that. So the way size works now is that each club can define its own categories. So I could specify a category for shoes. I'll click save, and it adds that category. And then I click on this next option here, and now I can specify the sizes for the shoes category. So I might say women's 5 to 6, and click save. And I can say women's 7 to 8, and click save. And basically now you build up whatever sizes you want in whatever categories you want. And then when it comes to a product, you link a product to a category, and the sizes are available. You can have as many categories as you need. And again, it's specific to each club or association, to where you're located and the products that you sell in your storefront. Okay. Now, the other part that we've changed, let's go back to the admin side of the module, is shipping. We still have the old shipping method where you can define flat rates for shipping. So if I go to Storefront options, when I go down to administration, here is the shipping, and the shipping pricing method can be flat rate, which is what we've always had, but we now have a new advanced shipping method. And let's have a look at how that works, because it's pretty cool. When I go to shipping, what I see here initially is a grid. And the way it works is that you can define whatever weight ranges you want, whatever shipping methods you want, and whatever regions you want. And then we'll put all of that together into a grid, and you specify for whatever combinations are appropriate what you're going to charge for shipping. So for weight ranges, first of all, we can have 4 different units of measure. So let's say we're doing this in pounds, and the first one is 0 to 5 pounds, and the next one is 5 to 10, 10. And you can see that we always add a new one, and the upper limit is always, unlimited. So we'll say 15. The keyboard is acting up. And we've just defined a number of weight ranges. And I'll click save, and you'll notice they immediately refresh in the grid. Now we go to shipping methods, and we can define whatever shipping methods we want to use. And keep in mind that not every combination needs to be valid. You can have combinations that are not used. So when I add a shipping method, I add a shipping method. In some cases, there might be tax. And if we have used a shipping method in the past and we need to turn it off, we can deactivate it as well. And you can control the sequence of those shipping methods also. And then finally, we manage regions. And here we can define whatever regions we want. So let's see how this works. I love this. Let's call this the Northeast region. And I'm going to check off a bunch of states in the Northeast. Let's see if I can get Rhode Island. There it is. And here is my Northeast region. And you can see that it's keeping track of the areas in the region over on the side here. And I can click save. And let's have a look at another region. Let's call this Oceania. There we go. And we'll switch to a world map. And I can now select Australia and New Zealand, I don't know, Papua New Guinea, a few other countries along the way, Philippines maybe. I don't know if I can grab Fiji there. There it is. There's Fiji. The point is that, you define a region. If you're shipping products to Oceania, then that's a potential region. And let's click save. And there is our Oceania region. Now, once we get to start specifying the fees, here is the default. Let's pick Oceania. And I'm going to manage pricing. Here is the same grid. Well, reindeer is not going to work to Oceania. So let's say that UPS is the only option that's available. And for less than £5, it's going to be $10 and $20 and $30 and $40. And let's click save. And here is the shipping. And this is a little glitch with Safari that we noticed, that it doesn't take you back to the one you were working on. It works correctly in other browsers. So we'll fix that. We just noticed that yesterday. So here we've defined the shipping rates for UPS. Now, what that means is that if we have someone in New Zealand who orders a product, when they come to the shipping system, when they come to specify shipping, UPS will be the only option available. And then we will calculate the weight of the products that you've ordered, and we will automatically apply the correct shipping fee, to the total. So that is the advanced shipping method, which we're pretty excited about. Define regions, weights, and methods, and then link those together into into the actual fees. We've also done some other updates in the storefront so that all of the screens that users use now work a lot better on mobile devices. And, so I just wanted to mention that. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so the committees module. And we've done very similar updates to a number of these modules, we'll look at them in a moment, but we'll start with the committees module. There is a new cards-based interface for the user side of the module. So let's have a look at what that looks like. When I go to members only and I select committees, here is the new cards interface. So you'll see every committee has a title. It has a short description, could be quite a longer description. You can see the number of members in the committee. Whoops, sorry. You can see the number of members in the committee, and if there are subcommittees, those will also appear. And the panels will adjust their height automatically depending on the length of the description in for each committee. We've also made some changes behind the scenes. So there are now different views that you can customize for the public, for members, which email address you're going to use. You can hide committees and use them for just as an arbitrary way of grouping people. So let's have a look at all of those settings. When we go to the edit link, and I'll just show all committees. Let's go down to the board of directors. Okay, so there are new options right here. Do we want to show the member list to members and non-members if the committee is on the public side of the website, to members only or admins only? Do we want to show the photo? And the send email option, do we want to make that available? Do we want to hide it completely, make it available only to other committee members or to all club members? And here is that share image that I talked about earlier with events. It's also available in committees so that it appears on the card. And we saw a card earlier that, that had an image on it. We've changed the terminology a little bit. There used to be a sort of a start date and finish date. Now it's basically term start and term finish, term end, for when someone's on a committee. You can also define titles without assigning a person. So it's very easy then to see that the committee has, vacancies that need to be filled. And we've also added the ability to have tertiary members on a committee. So for example, if you're a yacht club and you have a youth committee, so you might have family memberships where the kids are tertiary members, but you could have, young people actually on that committee. So some of the other modules, we've actually brought this cards interface into news and articles, interests, donations, and blogs. So if I go to news, you'll see it's a very similar interface with categories, and you can read more about the posting. You can also have a share image for news. If I go to interests, where is interest? There it is. Same thing. Interest works a little bit differently because we have interest categories. And so we have some clubs and associations running on ClubExpress that might have over 100 interest groups organized into, a dozen or more categories. So we actually allow you to show all of the interests or to collapse them within their categories using accordions. And I'll show you where that is when I go to interest options. Here is the option here, use accordion for categories. So there's that's a new option. When I go to blogs, similar interface. It's this, cards interface we're now trying to use consistently. And you can, jump in and read individual posts within the blog. And finally, whoops, there we go, donations. Similar interface for donations. Again, with a couple of variations, you can do a one-time donation or a recurring donation. We've always had that. You can show a goal, and we'll actually show the goal within the card. And the one other wrinkle with donations is that if you want to use the original display style, you can switch back to rows if you want to, because with donations, it may be more suitable, especially because you've got a large formatted description where you want more information that can cleanly be shown on a card. So we allow you to switch back to the rows interface. And again, for news, interests, and donations, you can define a share image when you're pushing to social media. The widget in the page builder for news also has a cards view, similar to what I showed you for events. The accordions option I just mentioned, and donations has cards or row-based interface. So we looked at all of those options. When I go to the blogs module, we've actually, all of those changes as well, the cards interface and the share image. But we've also made some updates behind the scenes to the admin interface. Comments now load in batches. So if you have a blog and people have made comments, when you want to view the comments, we'll load the first 10 comments, and then there'll be a load more option, and the next 10 will be loaded, and the next 10, etc. When you view the comment date time, it'll now respect the user's time zone. So you'll be able to see exactly when that comment was posted relative to where you are. We updated the editor, and we also did a lot of internal updates to make the module more efficient. Many of you are probably using the classified ads module, and we've done a number of enhancements to that module. Specifically, we now have the ability to report a classified ad. So let's have a quick look at that. I'll go here, and classified ads is not on the menu, so let's go to the control panel and the club tab, switch to view mode, go to classified ads. So here is a classified ad. If you want to go walking with your pet alligator, you can now buy a leash and collar for that person, for that pet. There's a new option here that says report ad. And when I click on this option, I get a little pop-up screen. Is this appropriate for a ballooning club? And I click save. Now, the designated coordinator for classified ads will be notified that a complaint was made about an ad. So let's see how that surfaces on the admin side of the module. There's a new option here. There are reported classified ads. Click here to manage them. And when I click, I'm going to see a standard grid screen. And in this case, there are 2 reports for this ad. And here are those 2 reports, both made by Martin. Is this appropriate for a ballooning club? Now, if I think the comment was there's nothing wrong there, I can simply decline the comment, dismiss it. But I also have options up at the ad level. So I can edit the ad, I can change the pictures, I can cancel it, or I can delete it as well. And if I edit the ad, then I have the ability also to hide the ad if I feel it really isn't appropriate. And in each case, there are emails that are going backwards and forwards so that the ad poster and the person who filed the complaint also get notified about what was done to handle that report. Pop up to specify a reason. The admin is notified. There's a new review screen. You can cancel or delete the ad, edit it, dismiss the report. You can also now control the order in which ads are shown, and you can optionally show the member join date. The reason we added all of these features is that we had a club where they would occasionally have people who join purely for the purpose of selling stuff to other members. And some of those products, or perhaps the vendor was suspect. And so they wanted to add those features. And so when I go to the configure option, there's options down there. I can control the ad sequence by the original date time posted or by the expiration time. And there's also the option show date joined right here on the classified ad listing. So if you want to flag ads that might have been posted by someone who just joined the club, you can do that very easily. We've also made a slight change in how ads are deleted because obviously with ads being reported, the club might want to keep a record of those ads. So now when you delete an ad, we retain that ad and we give it a status of deleted. Deleted ads, of course, don't show up, but as an administrator, you can view deleted ads if necessary. And then we've also made some updates to all of the emails behind the scenes that get sent backwards and forwards, just to update the formatting and the information that's shown. Okay, so some other enhancements. There is a new countdown timer widget. So let's go to the homepage and let's edit the homepage, and we'll edit the main version. So here is our page builder, and we actually have the countdown timer already, so I'm going to delete it and we'll start over. So let's drag a new row in. There it is. And when I select widgets, here is our countdown timer widget, and I can drag that in. And here are the properties. So there's the countdown widget, and the title might be Summer Fly-In, because it's a ballooning club. And let's say 6/15/2022, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. And there are two different styles for the counter, and I can add a link. So let's just do a simple link. We'll just say google.com, and it's going to be sorry, not so register. We'll say more event info. Click save and apply changes. And let's actually go back to that and select the style, and let's do a center alignment, and there it is. So here is the widget that we've just added. It's 90 days and it's counting down automatically. And if I click here, it's going to open up a new link and take us to Google, which is exactly what we'd expect it to do. So that's a new widget that many clubs had asked for. On the mobile app, we now have the ability to report a chat message. So this is actually a requirement that both Apple and Google added to their mobile app stores. If you have a chat function, you now have to have the ability to report a chat message and allow administrators to view and respond to that message. So I won't show you the mobile app, but if we go to the control panel and we go to the website tab, here is the mobile app manager. And you'll notice here is a link. There are reported chat messages. Click here to manage them. And there are search criteria, so we could have lots of reported chat messages. And so B. Jones posted a message and Martin Smith reported it. This person has an inappropriate avatar. So I can edit that and I can change the message. I can leave it as reported. I can reactivate it, or I can hide it permanently, meaning that I'm accepting the report. So, this basically follows the guidelines that both Apple and Google required, because our mobile app, of course, has the chat function. For those of you that use Google Analytics, Google now has a new version of GA. Actually, they've had it for a while, GA4. We now fully support GA4. And for all new customers, if you enable Google Analytics, you'll get GA4 automatically. For those of you that were using the previous version of Google Analytics, you can leave it as is if you want, or you can switch over to GA4. It's a lot more powerful, better reporting, all of that stuff. Email distribution lists. There's now a new distribution list everyone with a specified title. We've also changed how we handle high-res photos. So let's just have a quick look at that. When I go to photo albums, and I'll select, here we are, balloons in flight. Here is the option right here that allows you to download the high-res photo. And in the past, what used to happen is that it would display the photo on your screen in a new tab, and it would be huge because it's 3,000 or 4,000 pixels wide, and then you'd have to right-click on the photo and download. So now we do something different. Depending on your browser, if you watch very carefully up here in Safari, when I click on this, it actually downloaded the photo. It opens up a new tab. That's just the way Safari works. But it automatically downloaded the photo into my downloads folder using the original file name. Depending on your browser, you might actually get a little pop-up dialog that allows you to specify the download location and the file name. But it's just a lot more modern and a lot nicer. And the last change that we've made is in emailing deliverability. This has taken a while to put together. It was pretty complex behind the scenes, but we've added DKIM support. And if you just read what's written there, the way it works is that there's a private key on the email server, and what happens with DKIM support is that we add a new text record to your domain name zone file. Those of you who are not technical can sort of switch off a little bit. Those of you who are will understand what I'm talking about. And that text record contains a DKIM public key. Every email that goes out includes an encrypted hash representing the contents of the email, and the receiving server uses the public key to decrypt the hash, and it guarantees that the message came from the server that it claims to have come from. The receiving server can also generate the hash using the public key to verify that it's unchanged. So the message was not modified in transit. So for every one of you of the clubs that are using ClubExpress to host your domains and your zone files, we have added a DKIM record to your zone file. And if you haven't noticed, you should have, from a couple of weeks ago, seen an improvement in email deliverability. For those of you where you have your own zone files, and you're simply pointing to our IP address, as long as we're managing email for you, we can actually implement DKIM. You should email our customer success team, let them know that you want us to enable the option. We can send you the DKIM record, and then you add that to your own zone file. If we're not hosting email for you, or if you don't have a domain, then you can ignore all of this, because we can't use DKIM if we're not hosting your email. Okay, let me hand it back to Sam and Devin. I can be watching as we go along. There have been a lot of questions floating by, but if there are any questions I can answer for everyone, just let me know.
Yes, just a handful. So can we talk a little bit more about admin rights within events, an event contact or event coordinator? What rights would someone with admin rights over an event have, and how does that affect any event contacts or coordinators that may have been configured prior to this update?
Okay, good question. So as far as events are concerned, there are 3 levels of admin hierarchy. Actually, let's call it 4 levels. The first level is someone who's a full administrator. They're like God. They can do everything everywhere on the website. And most clubs and associations will have a very small number of administrators. And since we have the screen up here, let me show you where that's defined, just to refresh everyone's memory. If I go to the control panel and club tab, administrators and coordinators. So here's the first level. If you're an administrator, you can do everything. Coordinators have rights over some of the options on the control panel. So we might say that Larry Alexander has rights on the event calendar right here. Actually, I picked Larry. He has admin rights over the events module. What that means is that he has admin rights over every event within the module. So he can do anything to any event in the module. Below that, the next level is someone who has admin rights over a specific event. So when I go to this Monday Meals and I click on Event Contacts, let's edit this and let me select someone B. Here we are. Here's Peggy Bassett. And we'll select Peggy Bassett, and Peggy Bassett is the event host. And when I click this box, she now has admin rights over that event only, which means all of these buttons. She can send emailings, she can run reports and exports, she can make changes to the events right here. Of course, as soon as we save her information. Let's click Add. We've added Peggy, and let's save. So now Peggy is one of the administrators. She has admin rights over the event, but she doesn't have admin rights on any other events. And then I guess the fourth level is someone who's listed as an event contact, like Carl right here. He's an event contact. Maybe his phone number is there, but he has no admin rights over the event. Now, in terms of clubs that have existing events where you have event contacts, in the past, admin rights was not an option. If you were an event contact, you had admin rights. But it's very easy for you to go in and to update. And if you have a Carl, and in the past Carl had admin rights, you can go in and you can uncheck them and turn them off for Carl. And the way we would do that, let's say we're going to do it for Peggy. We edit Peggy. Here is Peggy's information. We turn off the admin rights. We click update. And now Peggy has no admin rights. And we click save. And by the way, just as an aside, I hope you all notice that as we're using this new event interface, there's a whole heck of a lot less scrolling that one needs to do, which we're pretty happy about. Back to you, Sam.
All right. And speaking of events, a couple more questions about that. So if one wanted to go back to an event that they've already created and convert that to a virtual only event, would they be able to do that?
Yes, absolutely. You would go in to the location for that event, and the conversion is right up here. You just make it virtual only. All the original location information is now hidden. You specify the video conferencing information. You choose this option and you click save.
And for the countdown timer widget, when that displays for users who might be in a different time zone from the club, will it reflect the club's time zone or the user's time zone? Did I stump you?
You did. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea. We will endeavor to get an answer.
And for the storefront for shipping method changes, so how would that affect a user who may have entered two addresses within their member profile? What does that checkout process look like? Do they have the ability to change their address based on one of the addresses they've entered?
Yes, when I click on checkout, here we are in the checkout process. And shipping information, send to primary address, alternate address, or a completely other random address. So if I select another address, I get to specify whatever address I want. If I select alternate, I guess I don't have an alternate address for the Martin Smith account or my primary address, and it fills that in automatically. So yeah, you can specify whatever, either of your two addresses, or if you're sending something as a gift to somebody else, you can specify a third address.
Okay, we have a couple more questions that have come in. There was a question about assigning event admin rights for an interest group. We don't currently have that ability, but we will submit that as a suggestion to our developers. We had a lot of really good suggestions in the chat. We'll go ahead and create a list for that. And
I think actually, sorry, Sam, to interrupt.
Oh.
I think filtering events by interest group is in the next round of enhancements for the event calendar. I believe it is.
Well, that's fun. Everyone here gets a little sneak preview for that.
Okay, what else? And I noticed there was a comment here from Mary Ellen, and about the countdown timer widget. If you've got a countdown timer to an event, and the event is in if the event's in a specific location, the countdown timer would be the number of days, hours, minutes, seconds to that event at that location. If it's a virtual event, I can see why the countdown timer might need to be time zone specific. Anyway, we'll check into it.
Okay.
And the other question.
And it looks like that may have addressed most of our questions.
Okay. So we get to finish on time, which is great. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We are continuing to work on the product. There's version 66 is in the pipeline. And as I said, there are more event calendar enhancements. There are more storefront enhancements, and working on other modules as well. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted. Thanks again.
I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for joining us. Don't forget to check our calendar for upcoming webinars. Our next couple of webinars are going to discuss the storefront in detail. So if you are interested in all of the new enhancements, we're going to go through those step by step with you. So join us in the next couple of weeks for our storefront webinars and much more. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.